some shameless flexing because why not? So I want to make a video today. I want to talk about things that people naturally just value and do not need reinforcement for. Like in other words, yeah, you don't need to be rewarded to see the value in wanting to do it, right? So we all have things like this in life. Everybody does. I do, you do. And so some examples of things in my own life when I think about it that I've never needed to be rewarded, incentivized or pushed or compelled, or somebody's trying to influence me to do something, right? Simple examples, and I don't know why, but I've always been somebody who's just a pretty clean person and organized. I've always, as a kid, I made my bed. I always like to keep my room neat and cleaned and keep everything particular places for myself primarily, quite frankly. Now, if I had somebody come over, sure, my room is clean. That looks nice, right? So yeah, my parents didn't have to pay me an allowance, get on to me to do it. I just kept my room clean. It's just what it is. So I've always been particular to being an organized, clean person. And like I said, I don't know where that necessarily comes from. I just remember always being this way. So what else would be something that I've internalized the value of? You do not need to reward me to do it. I would say probably fitness and exercise. When I was 12 years old, I started doing push-ups. I had these little cement dumbbells. I forget the name brand, JCPenney or something like that. They were bought at JCPenney. So anyways, 12 years old, I started working out. And yeah, I saw the benefit of it. Felt better, noticed that it getting stronger. And then, sports was a part of why I worked out. Is this kind of the part of the program, football, track and field. So there was like reasons to do it, but I didn't have to be compelled, encouraged, like, oh, you need to go work out, or hey, good job, pat on the back, or an attaboy. Just always enjoyed exercise and working out. And the reasons for it, in terms of the value of it, sure, those has kind of evolved over the years. I am turning 55 years old next month, actually. So at this stage in my life, exercise represents a lot of things. Quality of life, helps with longevity, helps me minimize the risk of getting sick or having accidents, becoming injured, right? And so on. Confidence, feeling good, less likely to get sick, as I mentioned. Sleep quality is great. Exercise supports that. So there's that. I mean, when you're younger, it might be, part of the just, feeling confident because you look better when you work out, right? For young single people. So sure, there's an element of that for, to some extent. But as you get older, it kind of changes more of an overall picture for why it's a good thing for you. So yeah, exercising, right? Keeping my room clean, my house clean. I've always been that way. So we all have things particular to us that it's just the way it is, and we all vary this way. I guess I would say other things that I do not have to be rewarded or forced or compelled to do. In a general sense, just being a considerate person of other people. I just have this having an inner intuition, like be nice, be polite, considerate. You want to say common sense. So that one too, right? Nobody has to force me. Hey, it's a good idea to be a considerate person. You get the idea. There's a lot of other examples I might go on here. So what's the point of me talking about this? Maybe you're someone out here, you've always valued fishing. You don't have to be rewarded to go fishing. You do not need to be rewarded to, I don't know, gardening, right? Plants. So this is something that's interesting that actually there was studies, research done. This is like in probably 2001. I went to a continuing education conference back in the day, or a conference if you want to do a CEU for my license. So they talked about a problem with undermining the internalized intrinsic value of doing something for yourself and children, right? With kids. The problem possibly could be, imagine a kid or a younger individual who naturally likes making good grades. They love school, they love studying, they're a straight A student, right? Do not need any encouragement. They're just naturally curious and they love to learn. So then you reward the behavior. Sure, you're gonna, give them money for every A they make. And some individuals, probably had some of that growing up. If you made an A, maybe your parents rewarded you. So the theory is, or the idea here is with kids in particular, and even adults, when you start to be rewarded for something that you already naturally just enjoy doing it, in this sense, the message possibly may become, well, why am I doing this? Do I really like it as much as I thought I do, right? So this idea of being rewarded for things that we already value. So this was an idea more than 20 years ago, right? In this study they were talking about. So there's that with kids, adults, and things like that. So my thoughts are, in general, with certain things particular to people in problematic marriages, right, or relationships, where a spouse, the husband or the wife, I mean, it can be either or, right, has particular issues that have been problematic for years, and unless the other spouse is on their ass to be doing something, the person typically will not be compelled to see the value in making any changes or for it to be sustainable, right? What if the wife were to divorce the husband? In this instance, let's say it's the husband. So the wife divorces the husband, then yeah, what's his reason to see the value in making changes? It's gone if it's only just doing it because the wife won't leave him, right? So I've heard it all, and some of the things I've heard is, yeah, my husband's telling me, see, I'm doing a good job, ain't I? Right? Which is, it makes me fun to laugh, right? I mean, like a little kid. Hey, mom and dad, I'm doing a good job, right? Give me the credit. Give me the attaboy and pat me on the back. Never mind, we're talking about grown-ass adults, right? What the hell is really going on here, right? Simple things. Or reasonable things, rather, is probably a better way of speaking to it. What about showing up to your kids' events, right? Being consistent, prioritizing things that you would think would have a value, showing up for your kids, showing up for your wife, or maybe it's the wife showing up for the husband. It goes both ways, right? So these are things that, kind of like Chris Rock would say, the comedian, you're supposed to do that, right? I'll say it in a nicer way. He's like, yeah, you're supposed to. Don't be talking about I take care of my kids as if you should get an attaboy or a certificate or something. You're supposed to do that, right? Or I mowed the lawn. Okay, you won a trophy, right? Okay. So things like this, there's certain thresholds. Sure, is it reasonable to be supportive of each other and say thank you for things? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the cart before the horse idea that if it's out of balance, there's always this expectation in how you enter into different processes of doing things, that it's, well, because I deserve to be rewarded for it, I need the recognition. Then this is backwards, right? Because this is not sustainable. In my opinion, it's not healthy. It's a bit of type of entitlement. So when you have individuals in your life that are a good fit, they're very congruent, similar to your own values, that always works better because these individuals are congruent with you, they're aligned, and so the things they prioritize are similar to yours, so you'll be happier, no surprise. And better is that you're not having to compel them, reward them, or to get them to do it, right? Like pat them on the back and good job, right? And there's a spectrum of this, or just a range of this, of different examples. Some things are very reasonable stuff. Hey, I took out the trash. Twice last week. So was a person wanting a freaking trophy or something, right? Hey, good job taking out the trash. A lot of people take out the trash, right? It's just part of being considerate, right? The trash is overflowing, right? Don't wait till it's be told to do it. So you get the idea. There's things we naturally value that we do not need to be reinforced for. Other things, yeah, maybe it depends on the person. What do we internalize the value of things? So we all have competing priorities in life, and we assign value to different things. And it's essentially, to assign value to something, it speaks to how much worth we say it has. And at the end of the day, the evidence, empirical evidence, you can quantify it, measure it, observe it, is behavior, period. That is the evidence of what people value. It doesn't matter what their words say. So what people do prioritize within competing priorities of more than one thing on their plate in life, those things that they're prioritizing is because they see the value in it and it is important, period. By default, what is not being prioritized, less prioritized, the message is, to anyone paying attention, is that yes, those things are less important. Whether it's being organized, make your bed, be considerate enough to replace the trash bag, replace the milk when you see it empty, whatever, right? I mean, there's endless examples of this stuff. So people just value things differently in terms of it being worth something for them to want to do it, and or just, it's prioritizing it, right? Turning the lights off, right? Electric bill, whatever. So anyways, my name's James Hunter. These are just my thoughts. don't need to be rewarded for certain things, and I'm thankful for that. Um, and where that comes from, I don't know. Maybe it's my DNA. I have a gene inside me that says value certain things. Wouldn't that be something, right? Can people adopt or learn the value of things over time and make a connection? It's possible. It is, right? If it wasn't possible, what's the point of therapy or counseling and things like that to help people? Anyways, drop some comments below. What are things that you just naturally value that you do not need to be rewarded to do it, right? What are other things, if you're just being honest? Yeah, you may need a bit of a reward, right? Or yeah, what about a job, right? A lot of people love their job, but let's be honest, you're being paid for your time, so that's reasonable, and so on. So drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what people just naturally value. You do not need to be rewarded for it. This video is not to judge anybody in any particular sense, to pick on people, because we're all particular, we are all different, and we all place value differently, and it is what it is. So drop a comment below. Be interested in hearing what people do not need to be rewarded to do, and maybe if you're being honest, some things you need more incentive. Match with somebody, by the way, who's more similar to you, and you'll have a happier life. Have a good day and take care.